There is a time and a place for hustle, and there is a time and a place to not hustle. Welcome to the Workhorse Podcast, where we dig deep into the grit, passion, and strategy behind building a successful rural business. We're your hosts.
I'm Kendall Ballantyne, owner of Central Park Farms and marketing for farmers.
And I'm Jessica Garza, owner of Moose Valley Ranch and founder of Market in the Mountains.
This podcast is for hardworking female farmers and rural entrepreneurs who are ready to turn their dreams into thriving businesses. From deep diving business strategies that actually work to balancing farm family life and everything in between.
We're here to give you practical tools, candid insights, and a healthy dose of community support. If you're looking for women who actually cheer you on, are willing to tell you the hard truths, and that understand how much it can throw off your day when the cows get out, you're in the right spot.
This podcast is for the doers, the women who don't stay in one spot for too long, for the workhorses.
Okay, here's what you guys have to know is that Kendall and I have this innate ability to start talking about, before we hit record, we're like going through what we kind of want to talk about, what direction we want to take the episode, just sort of like a rough idea, right, of where we're going. And then inevitably 25 minutes into the conversation, we realize we should have hit record a lot sooner.
Yeah, like we literally accidentally record a podcast before recording a podcast.
We like record the podcast twice, apparently, because we really like to work hard. And that's what today's episode's all about, is the hustle culture that I think was romanticized more than a little bit on social media. That boss babe, she's internally cringing right now because she hates the word girl boss babe, hustle, whatever. It's all very like kitschy now. And to be fair, I think some network marketing has ruined some of these words.
Correct.
Like, I do not like the word networking because of network marketing. And it's
girl
a really important thing.
But although the funny thing is, when we went to that bar and grill that night, I ordered a drink called the Girl Boss, but I think I just did it just to see what it looked like. And it was like pink and
powerful. Was it powerful?
I felt very powerful. Pink drink. And occasionally I'll use it in joke. Like when you and I had that issue and we had to call Jay in, we were like, we girl boss too hard. And now we're dealing with the ramifications of the too much girl bossing.
I wake up almost every morning. No, that's a lie. That's a little over dramatic. But on days when I really don't want to go to work, I'm like, dang it, I girl boss too hard. And now I have a big girl job. And I wish I wouldn't have girl boss so hard. And my husband usually just like pats me on the butt, hands me my coffee, and is like, yep, but you don't want to be late to work. So it's like zero sympathy for me.
Honestly, when you sent me this subject, I feel like this, after the last week and a half of being like deathly ill, most sick I've been in 10 years, I'd say. Like this kicked my butt. I was like, who put me in charge of such a big company? Because when I was sick, I like couldn't do anything. You guys can probably hear the cough candy rolling around in my mouth right now. I was like, who put me in charge of such a big company where when I'm down and out, it's just such a beast to try to manage? Because I was like, let's talk. This is a good week for hustle culture.
I honestly, when I texted you that idea for a topic, I was like, this is a really good time to talk about it. Because normally, I mean, I live by, I think it was Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, who had this sort of like viral meme go. It was a while ago. It was like right when I started Moose Valley. And it was something along the lines of like, always be the hardest worker in the room. Whatever room you're in, be the hardest worker. And of course, it's got like him shirtless.
Yeah, like working out with like a big chain hanging around.
Yeah, with like the chain and the weight. And he's doing like 50 pull. I wish I could do one.
I've seen it.
Yeah. I love that. One, because I really respect the hell out of his story. If you've ever heard any background on him, just like from nothing, not even enough money in his pocket for rent or gas or whatever it was. Pretty interesting home life situation growing up. Like he overcame a lot. And then he's a freaking pro wrestler, and somehow he turned into like the hottest man on the planet and a billionaire movie star. That's a pivot I've ever seen one.
He's pulled himself through some stuff, and he's quite the worker now. But I don't know.
Very few men that can pull off a fanny pack.
Of course, he can pull off a fanny pack.
I'm
like right now picturing that, like him in his acid wash jeans with like the little mock neck and the fanny pack. That's all I can think of in my head. Jay has such a man crush on him.
man crush. I don't even need a man crush. I have a crush on him. I don't know what CJ's take on him is, but anyways, that has always resonated with me. And I think especially as there sort of became this shift on social media, mainstream media, that hustle culture is toxic. No more hustle culture, all about balance, all about putting, your well-being ahead of things. I'm heading down a path I really don't want to be going down right now because I don't want to be the person that says not to put your mental health ahead of things. But I think hustle culture got a bad rap.
Yeah, and I feel like when I say that I have kind of taken that journey. Do you think I keep
No.
having this thing. I know, but I do
No.
feel like as soon as it came out of my mouth, I was like, no, I haven't. I do think I've gotten so much better than I was. I think 10 years into my business, like I am much better at balance, if you can call it balance. I'm much better at taking time for myself than I used to be.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because I hustled so hard, though, that then it gave me the ability to be able to. Like, I hustled so hard that I was able to, get employees in place and things like that so that when I wanted downtime, I could actually take it.
Yeah, I think you're slightly delusional in thinking that you've transcended that journey, but I could be wrong. I totally could be wrong.
I mean, right before we pressed record, I did sit there and say like, oh my gosh, I was sick for a week and a half and now I've so much work to do. I'm going to have to hustle my way through catch up. So maybe I'm better than I was. I'm for sure better than I was.
Well, like you said, I think you work yourself out of a job. That's a goal, right? Of an owner is to work yourself out of a job and rake in the piles of cash and just lounge around all day and order Uber Eats sushi to a spa.
I did order Uber Eats last night, actually.
Okay.
I splurged.
I don't get Uber Eats. Okay, growing up, just a little background. This is a slight squirrel moment. Don't be alarmed. Growing up, the only type of delivery that we had was that the pizza place in Deer Park would deliver pizza to the gas station at Loon Lake. And you had to order it, I don't know, however far ahead of time. And then they would tell you when to be there. And you had to go park at this gas station and wait. And that was how we got pizza. If it was a takeout pizza night, that was how we got. It was a big deal. I was 16 years old when I found out that when you order a pizza in a town, they will actually walk to your door and ring the doorbell. And the only reason I found this out is I was visiting my cousin, checking out colleges, and he's like, yeah, let's order a pizza. And we order it, and then I put my shoes on to go pick it up. And he's like, what are you doing? I said, well, I got to go get the pizza. And he's like, they bring it to the door. In that moment, I realized
that I was from a small town.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I was very sheltered, and I wasn't that sheltered, but yeah, it was a pretty sad day. And now, to be honest, the same pizza joint still delivers to the same gas station. That's still as close as you can get for pizza.
I know. It's so I almost wish that you couldn't get Uber Eats in my area.
Take that back. Take that.
No, honestly,
right
because when my bookkeeper does my books and she reviews my credit card transactions, she's like, "What are you doing?
No,
Make
you
food."
Tell that girl. You tell her we don't pass judgment on the amount of you take that number, bookkeeper, you put it in the correct column, and we don't talk about it again.
I was like, do you realize how much I have to hustle? In my day, I can't also cook.
Yeah, but you have those
right after I'm like, I'm doing so much better. Now I'm like,
yeah,
I have to work
I
so
said
much.
You were delusional.
No, I am a lot better than I was.
Well, and I think it's good. I think it's good to take time. There is a time and a place for hustle, and there's a time and a place to not hustle. And I think choosing to sort of grasp this lifeline of it's popular right now not to hustle, or you're somehow not being feminine enough or not being, you see all of this, you're not opening up into your feminine.
Wait, are you going to talk about masculine and feminine energy? Because
apparently.
I have fallen down that rabbit hole recently.
Oh, God.
Hey, just so everybody who's listening to this podcast, this is just a girl talk. We don't have a structure here anymore.
Grab your glass of wine.
Yeah. Grab a coffee, whatever.
Settle up. This is the 2 a.m. chat at the retreat, which I think is why I wanted to talk about this. And I have to say, so Kendall got super, super sick at our most recent retreat.
Oh,
so ill that we basically banished her.
Sick. So
None of us
sick.
wanted to get it. So she didn't get to experience this
I
at the
did half
retreat,
the retreat.
but it's one of my favorite parts. And it's the like 11:30 at night on the couch. Everyone's pretty much brain dead, so there's no filter and there's no anything else. And we have the best talks. So that's what we're settling in for. So you just, grab a glass of wine, grab your coffee, your iced coffee, whatever it is, settle in.
Feminine, masculine energy. I have fallen down the rabbit hole of talking about or thinking about or consuming content around. And some of the content irritates me beyond belief. But then sometimes lately, like the algorithm is giving me the masculine, feminine energy where I'm like, yeah, I should bake bread. I should get into the feminine energy. And I'm like, I literally cannot with the job that I do.
What kind of algorithm black hole?
Okay, because I started following, and I don't even want to say who it is. I started following this guy and his wife, and they like teach on masculine, feminine energy. And I hate 90% of the stuff that he says, just makes my skin crawl. But that 10%, man, I'm like, do I need to be more in my feminine energy? Do I need to? Oh, it's a whole thing. And then I'm like, how am I going to run a business with Jay? Just totally in my feminine energy.
Whatever feminine energy was supposed to surround me or my aura or whatever. And I don't want to make fun. I know there's some people that really deeply believe this. And if that is you, like if you are so deep into this that you right now are like, yes, girling, fist pumping, they're going to unlock the magic to transcending the universe, like get it, girl. Just understand that I do not get it.
Oh, I want to get it. I kind of get it. I feel like in the last probably year, I get it more than I used to get it. I'm talking about
How old
feminine,
are you?
masculine energy. 38.
Wonder if it's an age thing.
I think it's an age thing, and I think it's how long I've been doing this business for. Do you mean because I'm getting older?
I was waiting to see how long it would take for you
Oh,
to
no. Oh, no. I think it is. I think it's maybe 10 years into business.
Is
I
it
feel
too
like
late at 38?
yeah, I mean, I think my problem is that like I started Central Park Farms. And
Great, it's yours.
I cannot explain to you the amount of hustle that took at the beginning to be able to leave like a really good high paying corporate career as a first generation farmer and do that. Like I will not sugarcoat that. I worked really freaking hard and then I was really tired of working really hard. And so thankfully I was able to kind of do some things in a way that allowed me to be able to bring in extra staff so that I wasn't doing every single thing in the journey. And then I feel like at some point here I was like, man, baking bread and doing something in the kitchen would be really nice because I don't have time. And I don't know. I don't know what it is. But anyways, I fell under this algorithm about masculine and feminine energy. And I think too now Jay and I run the company together and it's led me out of certain roles and responsibilities of the farm. And now I've fallen into other responsibilities in the farm. I don't know. It's just been it's been a big trip the last few years.
I feel like you're about to tell me that you're going to some sort of like woo-woo retreat to the desert hills to like find your
No,
soul.
no, I'm not here. No, I love working too much for that. And I think Jay and I, like, the kids are grown too. Like, the kids are grown.
Yeah.
I'm not like stay at home mumming of some young kids where it's totally different. Like, I think now if I said to Jay, you know what, I'd really just like to be in a really feminine role, just me and the dogs out during the day, Jay would die.
I think Jay would hand you your knives back and be like, well, then you better
Oh,
find another butcher because I'm going to be on
yeah.
a fishing island, me and my fishing pole. So figure out how you're going to pay for all this.
No, it's just been, that's been a really hard transition for me out of, like, I was very happy to get to the point where we had staff and that I didn't have to hustle as hard. Don't get me wrong, still obviously hustling, but didn't have to hustle as hard. But then that led me off the farm and into our office more. And I think that was like a big identity crisis for me I was doing all the like quote unquote masculine energy jobs on the farm. Like I was calving, I was doing like large livestock handling, all of the stuff, all the jobs on the farm. I did 100% of the jobs on the farm. And then it was suddenly like I found myself in my office, like creating content and doing billing and that, and which was like a really weird transition for me to go from being somewhat like an alpha of the business, and I still run the business, but I was like doing all those like tough laborious jobs to not doing tough laborious jobs. And I feel like maybe that arc of feminine energy accidentally like skipped with that or something. I don't know. It's been weird.
I'm dying now to just like, we should switch phones so I can see what's coming up in your
I'm
algorithm.
gonna send you the
Please
guy
don't.
that I follow.
Please don't.
I'm going to. I have to.
No, this is now going to be like the parasite conversation.
No. Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yes. So
I'm dying.
this long pause does not deserve to be edited out, because I want you to feel the weight that I carry anytime this topic gets brought up. And I'm fully aware that I just brought it up, but I'm going to bring it up because
I'm so excited that we're talking about this. I love that this topic keeps coming up.
I hate it. I hate it so much. And I don't know why.
You must not, because you thought of it and I didn't even think about it. I was funny though that you brought it up, because I was thinking yesterday when I couldn't get feeling better in life, I was like, I got to message the retreat girls and be like back on the parasite cleanse conversation.
I'm not sure how we got from hustle to parasites. I think I may be slightly fascinated with the idea of 2 retreats back. There was some late night conversations about parasite cleanses.
And it's never us that brings it up. That feels like that's an important distinction. It's like all the women somehow get talking about parasite cleanses.
I've never once in my life seen, heard, done anything to do with parasite cleanses. Never heard my family talk about it. My mom, like nothing, until we get around these retreat girls and like the filters come off. And then they start telling us about parasite cleanses. And then they start explaining all the benefits, all the side effects that come from it, all the indicators that you may very well be like infected by these things.
I'm doing one.
You have said that for 6 months.
Okay, well, I called Jay from
Why do you need to do one? You just were like
retreat.
Deadly ill.
Well,
you probably don't even need to do one now.
I don't even know the whole thing about a parasite cleanse, so I'm going to have to do some research first. I mean, I know we've talked about the last couple of retreats. I called Jay after the Oregon retreat, and he's like, "Oh, I've done a parasite cleanse." He totally had already done one, so
we're going to do one. Casually threw that out there, like, "Yeah, I've done it. Cool, haven't you?"
Yeah, he was like really surprised. I mean, we've been together for like 11 years though, so I was like, when did you think I was parasite cleansing? When were you parasite cleansing?
Can we asterisk this topic for you to talk about with Jay?
Yes.
Because the past episode is CJ and I talking together, and I'm not going to lie, you guys, he was pretty nervous. So
Aww.
Cute. Like
I so appreciated him stepping in for me.
Well, we talked about this, so I think he didn't feel like blindsided from it, because we kind of let the guys know, like, at some point we want to have you on. But he was so nervous, and he was just like, I know that the women that listen, like, I just want to make sure, because he's recorded some other podcasts for policing things. Like he did a 3.5 hour podcast with poorly made police memes, something poorly made police podcast, 3.5 hours about being a traffic cop. I was like, can you not stress? It's a 45-minute speak from your heart. I was like, I just want you to be honest. I just want you to share. Like, I want the girls to kind of hear your perspective. He was so nervous.
I have not listened to it yet.
It was
at the time of this recording. By the time it obviously comes out, I will have heard it. But I'm really looking forward to listening to it. And then Jay and I think, are recording ours next week.
Yeah, so I'd like the topic of parasite cleanses.
Get ready. It's going to be 2 podcasts in a row. You guys, stay tuned.
Yeah, be super excited about that. Okay, back to what we were originally talking about. Hustle culture. It is possible to hustle yourself right into the ground.
Yeah.
I think you probably I don't think you got sick because of hustling.
No, I didn't get sick because of hustling. I got sick because my mom got sick, and then Jay got sick, and I got sick, and everybody got sick. So I don't think that was... It's hung on, though. It is. Do
you think because you were run down?
Yeah.
Or do you think... And has it been this long for everyone else?
I think it hit me harder than everybody else. Like, Jay and my mom were both back to work. I mean, my mom still got a cough hanging around. But I think... So it's twofold why I think it impacts me more. I'm not a doctor, but I think mentally it messes with me more. I had like... not a mental breakdown at all, but I had like a little moment today where I called my mom. So for those, Yeah,
A
a
minty
little
bee. It's
baby
not a
one.
mental breakdown. It's a
No.
minty bee.
Exactly. So for those who don't know, my mom works for the company. And so I called her today and she was at the farm store and I was at home because we've got a home office. And I called her and I was like, "Do you want to come by?" She came by and I was just like, "I can't do this right now. I feel like I've been sick for so long and I can't get over it." And she was like, we were having a conversation just about how it was impacting her versus me. And I said to her, I was like, I think part of this comes down to the fact that in the building of this company, I have built supports for everybody but me. So, like, I'm the only one who does the tasks within the company that I do. Whereas for Jay, we've got 3 butchers. And don't get me wrong, Jay's the main butcher. Jay does but he can oversee other people's work when he's sick. And my mom helps do packing orders and running the store and stuff, but we have other staff to do that as well. So they can oversee things a lot easier. Whereas if I'm done, I'm just done. Like there's just nobody picking up the slack for me. So then I think that compounds because then I never really can fully rest. Or I rest and I'm under the stress of knowing that the downtime just means I'm going to have to make it up later, which is a
Yeah.
different thing than the orders are still getting packed and the meat's still getting cut. And yeah, there's some things that you're going to have to catch up on, but literally I have to catch up on 100%, which by the way is not the best way to build your company. So know that and know that I do know that. We've just had some staffing changes and I'm currently onboarding a new company to help with our bookkeeping and stuff like that. But there's been a little bit of a transition in that time. So this isn't normally how we would be set up, but it's been rough because of that gap. And so I think that kind of kicked my butt a little bit extra as I've been in a bit of a forced hustle while we transition from our old bookkeeping company to a new company. And that new company is actually going to come in a little bit of a CFO position within the company, which I'm looking forward to. But that's been another thing. We're onboarding that at the same time. So it's been really a heavy, heavy workload for me in that transition. So I think it just happened to catch a sickness that wasn't because I was hustling, but I think I couldn't kick it as easily because of the additional pressure on me right now. Have you been spending a little too much on Uber Eats or pre-made food lately, just trying to keep your head above water? I guarantee you're not alone and likely have customers in the exact same boat. I know what an asset it is to have wholesome, nutritious food in my freezer instead of relying on yet another night of takeout. That's why my farm created a whole line of chef-crafted prepared foods. Not only does this leverage hard-to-sell cuts of meat from our butcher shop, but it also hits an entirely new target market. If you want to learn more, head to the show notes and check out my workshop on prepared foods and start earning more revenue with what your farm is already producing.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that there is any form of actual rest as a full-on business owner.
No, I went and laid before you sent me the text message that said, "Are you ready in 10 and 15?" I was laying in bed. I was like, I need to take 20 minutes to lay down before we get on this thing. And then you were like 10 or 15. I was like, how about 20? Because I needed to get up.
You could have said 30.
No, it was fine. I know because again, it has to get done, right? So then it's that thing that in my mind, yeah, I can shuffle it or I could be done earlier in the day and rest in the evening and be done. And plus I feel like I haven't talked to you in so long, which is probably why this podcast is just turning into a girl gab. And not really.
You know what, though? This is the cool part of building your own business and pivoting in directions. I didn't start Moose Valley Ranch and think someday I'm going to have a podcast. So how cool for me that this gets to be considered part of work as it grew to this point. And to be fair, while you were laying in bed, I was I was on my back like a turtle on the couch because I'm wearing really tight jeans because I had they're not really tight, but they're tight enough they're uncomfortable. But I had an important meeting today. So I looked all cute and I wore my new boots and I got home and I could not get my left boot off to save my life. And I couldn't bend over good enough to get leverage. And so I was texting you with my left boot on, yelling for help from the kids to get, I could have taken an extra 5 or 10 minutes to have gotten my boot off.
I have a pair of boots that I cannot take off unless Jay or Jagger's home. I can't. I have to plan to only wear those boots. And I know somebody's going to tell me that I can get like that, a boot kick, but this specific one has a weird heel on it that I can't get a jack to work properly. And so I have to wait until
Oh,
Jay
you've
is
tried it
home.
with a jack.
Oh yeah. It's like a little bit of a higher heel cowboy boot. So it's too tall to catch properly. They're really nice, beautiful boots, but I have to plan. I can only wear them like on a date with Jay. Like we go on a date together and we come home and he can take them off. I can't go for like girls' night and get home and
I
then
would
Jay's
take
not
your
here.
boot off for you. If you ever want to wear them for girls' night, I will take the boot off for you.
Because
No, and
otherwise
I
I'm
was
like,
laughing.
I'm on my
CJ
back
walked
holding my
in.
leg.
Yes. CJ walked in and he was like, "Oh, this again." I was like, "I want to wear my new boots. I've worn them. Ooh, I've worn them to the point that I don't need the bag trick to get them on." So pro tip, if you've missed it somehow, like you're an ostrich or you not on social media very much, if you ever have a hard time getting on boots, but they're the right size, you just like can't, like it's a friction problem almost to the way it's cut and they're not broken yet. You take one of those plastic bags from the grocery store that they put your produce in, and you wear it with those, and they slide in and slide out really easy. You do it a couple times, then they're stretched out to your foot. It's wonderful. So I've worn these now enough with the produce bag trick that they will go on, and the right one came off just fine. I just got stuck on the left, and I actually don't own a boot jack. In my head, I am mentally inventorying. I wonder if anyone at Market will have a wooden with leather accent. Maybe I could
That'd be
brand
nice.
it or something.
Yeah.
Boot jack. This is coming out with plenty of time for someone to figure that out. So if you listen to this and you're a Market vendor and you create a boot jack, I would love to know so I can come buy it.
And also make sure you talk to Jess about it first. Don't diversify your market offerings.
Okay, yeah, no, please be either a woodworker or a leather worker so that it fits in with your don't make tallow and then come out with a boot jack without talking to me.
47 vendors are coming with boot jacks now, Jess.
No, God, no, that's not what I meant. Only someone that it's on brand for already. Shoot, what did I just do?
If you haven't listened to that episode, please go back to the episode about marketing at markets.
I don't know. Did we really cover that though? I don't think we did, because I don't know that we went off in that. That's something I had to add this year. I
felt like we did, but maybe it's just that we talk about it so much.
We do talk about a lot. And then we get on these things and then we got to try to remember. And then the whole recording ahead of time is just a trip. We got to the point, like episode 7, I didn't even know what was coming out. Like it dropped and I was like, oh, it's that episode. I forgot we recorded that episode.
There were some goodies in there too.
Maybe we've hustled a little too hard.
This is just an exploration of the fact that we are losing our marbles right now with how much we have hustled. So for Jess, it is market season for her. All of her vendors have just submitted. She's
not
going
market
through.
Season.
Well,
it's not market
it's market
season
vendor.
Don't wish that evil on me. I'm not ready for market season.
In market season for you. You literally just got everybody sending in their applications. I consider that market season.
It's just application. Then I have a break. This is just my
200 something vendor applications to go through.
I was actually, I think we ended at 197, but I've had 3 or 4 people message me for the wait list that I have not started yet.
Okay. So you have 200 vendor applications to do. So you've got a ton on your plate right now.
And I just did some really cool stuff at work, which I don't talk about very often on social media at all. Part of that is because all of my work follows my social media. And I just like there to be kind of a clear division of this is my work time when I'm at work and this is my ranch stuff. And while they very closely overlap in subject matter, I try to not talk about my work on my social media.
So does that mean you're going to talk about it on the podcast because then nobody can message you about it?
Well, I mean, they're still going to see some. I'm sure someone listens to the podcast, but I haven't heard direct feedback from anyone that they are actively listening to the podcast. So I'm okay talking a little bit about it, but
okay.
I run what's called like an economic development meeting, for lack of a better words, for our entire county, not the county I live in, the county I work in. For the last year, I've been running my head into a wall with the way that these meetings were set up. Totally just a holdover of this is the way we've always done it. Even though some organizational structures had changed, the entity in charge had changed, my position had changed, like So many things had changed, and yet we were still operating these meetings in the same way. And here is the definition of insanity: expecting different results to come from it. So, of course, I come in like a wrecking ball, and I'm just like, I think we can do this better. I think there's a different way to do this. I think we should be looking for another way. Anyways, I pushed. Then I got told I was pushing too hard and that maybe I was coming in a little hot. My
You
boss,
coming in hot?
what?
It seems very
Weird.
off
Yes,
character, very off brand.
100%. My boss has started referring to me publicly and including to elected officials, like state elected officials, as spicy. And I love that. Like, I will take that title. I will run with it. I will be the first to speak loudly and proudly at a public meeting, to call even elected officials on their BS if it needs to be called on. I think we need more of that in this world. I invite the same energy to join me at the table anytime you might want to. But anyways, I came in hot on my ideas, very quickly found an option, like found another way of doing it at a different county that I was loving, did some research. Yes, we can. And they were like, you are changing too much, too fast, too strongly. And I just had to like sit in it. Well, then the moment came. And at the end of last year, I worked really hard to rewrite bylaws, to educate the membership, to pass the bylaws, to educate my board, to just sort of lay the groundwork. And that first meeting was today. It was actually the day of the podcast. And
the reason for the jeans.
so the reason for the jeans.
Okay.
This was a morning. I got up early at 4. Normally you don't have to get up before 5, but I got up at 4 because I had things to do and I had to be in and pick up stuff for the meeting. And I knew I still had packets to print. And I was just like, okay, I'm going to get in. I'm going to do the thing. It was a morning that I woke up and I told CJ I girl bossed too hard. I was like, why did I do this to myself? But oddly enough, for someone who for 10 years experienced adrenaline dumps with really like life-threatening situations. So they train you in law enforcement that you'll get these adrenaline dumps where you can have auditory exclusion, you can have the pinpointing of your vision. It's scientifically proven. And then when you're done with the incident, your whole body sort of shuts down. So my first pursuit happened and I was with an FTO at the time, which is a training officer. So I had a training officer in the car, an experienced officer with me. We get in our first pursuit, 57 miles or something like that. We went from Lewistown, Montana, and ended up having to book them into the Billings jail, if that tells you the scope of how far we traveled on this pursuit, how many counties we went through. And when we got done, he's like, I'll drive home. And I was like, no, I'm the trainee. You're supposed to drive. You're supposed to be. And he was like, it was so cute. I was the same age as his daughter.
Oh,
and so like he had a really hard, and he never had a female trainee. So like, is this considered unprofessional? Yes. Did I love him dearly for it? He was like, no, sweetie, you don't understand. You're going to get in the car, you're going to start driving, and your whole body is going to start to shut down. And the last thing we need to do is wreck. He's like, it's totally normal. You're not going to get, any marks off for it. This is just like, this is normal. And you need to know that this is coming, because when you get into the situation on your own, you need to recognize when you need to stop or stay at the detachment or,
Yeah. Yeah. Experience it for the first time, not driving.
Yes. Oh my God. He would apologize profusely when he would like call me sweetie or honey, because
that's so cute.
But I went to dinner with his family. His wife was so sweet. And they just, you could tell I was like his daughter. So anyways, that's a phenomenon I'm incredibly familiar with, right? Like if you asked me 2 days ago, I would have been like, oh, this is a cakewalk, whatever. Apparently not, because I didn't recognize how stressed I was about this meeting. And I don't know if it was the external pressures of feeling in Moose Valley. It's all me. It's all me. If I live and die, it's my name that goes with it. If I have a bad idea, I'm the one that has to answer to myself for that. In this job, I really respect my boss, my board. I really care about the whole kind of community ecosystem and really want to affect like positive change. And here I am spearheading and saying, this is the solution. This is what we need to do to move the needle forward. Apparently, I was under more stress about this meeting than I thought. And when I got done and I was in the car and I was driving home, I was like, holy cow, I'm having an adrenaline dump from a freaking meeting.
Yeah, you know what? I don't get nervous at all for keynote speeches or when I go and do keynotes or anything like that. But holy crap, does it take a lot of out of you?
Yeah.
Like afterwards, just that like adrenaline to be on and do a great job. Like I really care about doing a really good job because I want people to leave from things that they've come to with me that they feel like they got everything they possibly could get to make their business better. So like I put a lot of pressure on myself. So I'm not nervous speaking on stage by any means. I don't get like that. But afterwards, like there's been times where Jay, after, I'm at the hotel in some random small town somewhere after doing a speaking engagement. Jay's calls me. He's like, why aren't you like out for dinner or something? I'm like, I'm in my room sleeping because it's like, it's a big, adrenaline dump afterwards that you got the thing done that you've been practicing and all the things. And yeah, I can see
I
that.
think, are we like addicted to it in some sense? Because you can get addicted to the, I don't know, the up down, I think of it. And sometimes I
For
wonder
sure.
because the same thing happens after market. In fact, I was just in a one-on-one and I was talking about, they asked me about feedback. They asked me if we do feedback through market and do I ask vendors for like a wrap up? And I say, yeah, I do. And I do it pretty quickly right after the event. And then I
Hmm.
don't open it for weeks because
Yeah.
I am so down. I go into like this really down after market because it's a huge hustle leading up and into the market. Probably retreats are the same way too. Holy
Yeah,
cow,
for
have I
sure.
built my whole business around creating like adrenaline spikes and then crashes?
Yeah, for sure. I would say so. You're very like big event and then break and then big event and break.
Yeah.
So that seems in line with the type of personality that you have though and the past work that you did for sure.
It's like a cyclical nature.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wish I didn't have to hustle so hard. Sometimes I look at stuff like that, or I look at people that are just sharing, that they didn't, I don't know, didn't have to miss their kids' stuff, or they didn't have
Yeah.
to, they're not inviting any stress and emails in their life because they just don't. And I'm like, how do you not? Even if I put my phone away to truly have like family time or one on one time, like, it's not a relief. It's an intentional decision to focus on what's in front of me, but like it's still hanging over my head.
For sure. I think I've had that conversation recently with, like things going on with the economy and stuff like that. And sitting and having a moment where I'm like, there are so many people who rely on me financially. And that is a big weight on your shoulders. And that need to make sure that, like, which is part of the reason that I said when I'm down and out, when I'm sick, it's not like I'm just totally unplugged and taking care of myself. I'm still thinking about the fact that like, oh man, we got to get enough individual transactional sales that we have to get to make our business work because we're like
Mhm.
a average order value of 121. Like I've got to really be turning a lot of orders and I'm sitting there thinking to myself like I might be super sick right now, but I have my entire family on payroll, full time, plus
Mhm.
staff. And I sit there and I'm like, we got a lot of people that rely on this business to work in order for like my entire family to have food on on our tables and a roof over our heads. And that's a lot of pressure. And so part of it is I talk about, oh, I used to have to hustle so hard and I worked so hard to build this company and yay for me that I got to a point of having staff. And that is like, I'm wildly proud of the company that we've built. And I'm so honored to get to do the work that I do. I love my job, but I'm telling you, there are times where I'm like, would I rather it be back where it was just like, yeah, I hustled a lot, but it was just really impacting me. And I
Yeah.
didn't have like nobody else relied on that income. Jay had his own stuff and I had my stuff. And, you know, I could have certainly been fine. Like if I wasn't making a bunch of money, we still survive. Now it's like there's a lot of households that depend on our ability to, I mean, even with like child support and stuff like that, there's a lot of families, a lot of people that rely on Jay and I being able to make money through this company. And so when we have little hiccups, like we've lost our quail business and like due to no fault of our own, but we've had a change in that. And that takes thousands of dollars a month out of our pockets. And when I have moments like that, I'm like, holy crap, that's like, I got to make sure I'm making really smart business decisions right now because there's a lot of people who depend on me.
Well, that's when you have to throttle up, right? That's when you're
Totally.
head
And
down and
and I
it's
was
like,
feeling so sick.
that's the worst. That's also like the worst part of solopreneur, for lack of a better word, is And I think also a lot of people don't consider it when they kind of start building companies. I think product stuff is probably a little different, but I primarily operate in like the service-based industry. And if you're down and out and you have an event coming up, or you're in the middle of a retreat, or you
Yep.
have something like that where you don't have a fallout plan for that. If I could offer anything to anyone in a service setting, it would be to at least make enough business friends that you have someone you can call if you are in like a dire emergency. And I know, I mean, I've done it and offered it for friends, and they've done it and offered it for me
Hmm.
too, so that at least you don't like fall flat on your face. But like when there's no safety net, that hustle, it has to happen, and there's not really a choice. There just isn't. And I just feel bad that it's not popular to hustle, because I think there's something to be said for just working really hard and leaving nothing behind. What is the thing the kids are saying now? Like,
Oh, I'm not cool enough to know that.
dude, I said the word yeet at the retreat, and I could have physically shoved that word back into my mouth when I said it. I was like, what do I think I am? Some 20-something-year-old, 19-year-old? Like, what? I was talking about a mattress. I said, we'll just yeet the mattress out. And I'm like,
No, I can't. The teenagers would make so much fun of me.
no, but there's something. Okay, well, now you have to go ask the teenagers. There's something about like ate and left no crumbs.
Oh, ate and left no crumbs. I love those. So what I want to do is like, have you seen those social media Instagram reels where it's like the millennial wrote the script
Yes.
for the older staff?
Yes.
I want to do one of those for the farm so bad.
Please.
And get like Jagger and Devin to write the script and like
Do
have my
they
mom
talk
and
that
Jay.
different?
The other day I made dinner for the boys and Devin was eating a Caesar salad and he said to Jagger, he's like, sometimes a salad just slaps. And I was like, oh my God. So anyways, it was pretty funny. He was just like,
The
he was
fact
just
that
really,
teenage boys are eating salads, though, like, I feel like that deserves a round of applause.
yeah. And I said to them, I was like, you better put some salad on your plate. Like when they were getting, there was like steak and veggies and stuff like that. But I was
Oh,
like, you
you
better,
forced them
like,
into it.
yeah. But then Devin was eating it and you could just like, he was eating it before he had even finished other things. And he was just looked at Jagger and he's like, man, sometimes a salad just slaps. It's like, sometimes a salad does slap, my friend.
Okay, so you're not too old. Whatever. So the saying is the thing about, like, leaving no crumbs. Eating so hard there ain't no crumbs? I honestly don't know.
There is a teenager sitting in a vehicle with somebody with their mom driving to town, and they are rolling their eyes at you, Jessica.
I have to let you know that at my meeting today, there was a preteen, accompanied a parent. And at one point, I don't know, I can't remember what was happening, but I was like, how old are you? And they said, and I was like, oh, mine's rapidly approaching that age. And I was like, I see what's coming down the pipe and I'm not ready for it. I'm not at all.
We've employed so many teenagers through the years, teenage boys specifically. Whew, it's a treat. No, I'm just kidding. I love the boys that have worked for us. They've always been incredible. It's just sometimes I have to remind them, like, what's appropriate to talk about, not appropriate. But you made a really good point, and I want to leave one thing because you talked about it being a service-based business when you run into trouble. So before we get off that, I want to say for
Circle
a
back.
product, yeah, it's because it feels so important because we've just like chatted through this, and I want my product-based business friends to leave with something. Please,
Yes.
please, please, service-based too. Create some training manuals, create some stuff, some assets and resources that if anything were to happen to you, whether it's just a temporary, you're down for a couple days, you end up having to get surgery, whatever, God forbid something really serious happened, please get some things in place that protect your business. Meaning, I had run into a really serious medical condition about 7 years ago. I ended up in the hospital with it. My team wouldn't have known how to stop accepting orders, how to refund an order. Do we know how to send a newsletter, even just to say, hey, the store is going to be closed? Like, even if worst case scenario, the business just needs to temporarily pause, does anybody actually know how to do that besides you? Does anybody know how to refund an order? Does anybody know? Because the last thing that you want is for your family or the friends that are trying to step in to help to have additional stress of just simply not knowing how. And a lot of times as business owners who take care of either the business completely on their own or you take care of all the computer stuff and maybe your husband's out on the farm doing other things, a lot of times we hold a lot of that information in our heads and we never get it out on paper. please, if I can urge you anything, that saved our business when I was in hospital. I wouldn't have been able to do anything, but our team had those resources available to be able to go and figure out how to print an order, figure out how to do some of those tasks, or worst case scenario, if they needed to, they didn't need to because the business still needed to operate. But if they needed to, they could have paused the ability to accept orders just to give themselves some breathing room while I was in hospital. So I just want to urge anybody, hustle real hard if that feels right for you in this point of your life, but please make sure that you get some of that information out so that if you do end up in a situation where you need to take a break or you need some additional help, that is there and available for you.
And let's take it one step back, that think about the simplest thing, even logging in. Because even if they can't send a newsletter or an email or something like that, do they even know where your logins are?
Mm-hmm.
Do they even know what they're logging into? If I told my husband that he needed to get into the group coaching end of things and do something for me, he wouldn't even know what the platform was called, especially in this amount of tech.
Yes.
So,
I mean, I would be there to log into all the things for him.
Well, what if we were in a car together?
Yes, for sure.
Then it would be Jay and CJ.
Jay would be able to do it.
Well, I have absolute faith that CJ would be able to handle and navigate through like the biggest parts of it. But I mean, I think sometimes we forget, we think, oh, we're not ready for SOPs or we're not ready for training manuals or we're never going to get to that point. Like it can just not happen or the product just doesn't get made. But it can be something even as simple as the login for the corporate bank account or the contact for the suppliers. Maybe a delivery of perishable goods is going to end up on your doorstep and they need to be able to stop that because there's nowhere to put it, or something like a list of your suppliers, a list of your clients, whatever that is. I mean, I think that's we could probably do a whole nother episode on like preparedness.
Yeah, because that was a big one. And I use a program called Scribe that helps me with creating SOPs. It's a little bit AI backed and it actually just walks you through. If you're doing anything computer based, it makes really incredible training manuals so easily. This is not an affiliate. I wish I had an affiliate so that I could tell everybody to join. I just use Scribe and it works really, really well. But that's been a game changer for us so that at least, this wasn't that scenario. I was down for a week and a half sick, but I wasn't in the hospital or anything. But certainly if it was more serious, it's nice to be able to know that our team can figure out how to log in and do some even basic things.
I'm so proud of us for girl bossing so hard that in our podcast, we still came full circle with some really good business tips for you. So you will have to catch us on the next episode, which I believe is going to be Kendall and Jay.
It is. And I have already talked to Jay about it. And I was like, I want you to be able to speak to other husbands who maybe have resistance with showing on social media and things. And because he was really anti-social media. So if you need your man to be getting some advice from another guy about what that has done for our finances and our business and things like that, he's got a little bit of advice on how to get brave to show up online and how to get comfortable with that.
So the next episode is date night episode. Grab your husband, pop it on, drive yourself to a nice restaurant where you can talk about it all.
I love it.
Look at us, saving marriages and businesses, one podcast episode at a time.
Thank you for listening to this episode. We know there are only so many hours in the day, so we're honored you choose to spend some of your time with us. If you're one of the many rural women entrepreneurs who are struggling to find true community and step-by-step support that actually moves the needle in your business, join our signature group coaching program, the Workhorse Collective. You can find more information in the show notes of today's episode. Together, we've set out to support and connect with women in rural business. If you found this episode valuable, we'd love it if you'd share with another woman in your circle. It would also be incredibly helpful if you would take a moment to leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes, and we'll catch you next time on the Workhorse Podcast.